If your Excel file feels like it's moving through mud, conditional formatting might be the hidden reason. It's one of the most useful features in Excel, but it can quietly add a lot of work every time the sheet recalculates. The tricky part is that the slowdown often doesn't look dramatic at first. Then one day, scrolling stutters, copying takes seconds, and saving feels like a freeze. The good news is you can usually fix it without deleting all your formatting. You just need to find where the rules are exploding, and then reduce how much Excel has to evaluate. In this walkthrough, you'll learn how to spot the classic warning signs, how to audit the rules, and how to rebuild them in a cleaner way. We'll also cover safer alternatives when you need speed more than fancy highlights. By the end, you'll have a repeatable checklist you can use on any sluggish workbook. Next step. Let's get specific about what conditional formatting is doing under the hood. Every rule is basically a test Excel must run to decide a cell's appearance. If you have 5 rules applied to 50,000 cells, that's 250,000 checks, and that's before you type anything. Now add formulas that depend on other sheets, or rules that use functions like offset or indirect, and Excel has to keep reevaluating. Another performance trap is applies to ranges that are far bigger than your real data. Many files end up with rules applied to entire columns, or to tens of thousands of blank rows. Excel still considers those cells part of the formatted range. Also, rule order matters, because Excel may evaluate multiple rules even if only one ends up changing the format. The key mental model is simple. Fewer cells times fewer rules times simpler formulas equals a faster workbook. That's the lever you'll keep pulling throughout this process. Next step. Before you change anything, confirm conditional formatting is actually the culprit. A quick clue is this. Does the file slow down most when you edit values, paste data, or fill down formulas? That's when Excel recalculates and reapplies formats. Another clue is lag when you scroll through heavily formatted areas, especially with color scales, icon sets, or lots of borders. If saving is slow, it can also be due to bloated formatting being stored across huge ranges. To isolate it, try a simple test copy. Make a duplicate of the workbook, then remove conditional formatting from one problem sheet only. If performance improves immediately, you've found your hotspot. Also check if the slowdown is localized to one tab or happens everywhere. Localized lag usually means oversized applies to ranges or duplicated rules. Workbook-wide lag can mean the same rule was accidentally applied across many sheets. Once you've confirmed the cause, you can fix it confidently instead of guessing. Next step. Now you need to audit your rules, and the fastest way is to look at them like an inventory. Open the Conditional Formatting Rules Manager and switch the view to show rules for the entire worksheet. Your goal is to answer 2 questions. First, how many rules are there? Second, how large are the applies to ranges? A common mess is dozens or hundreds of nearly identical rules that differ only by a row number. That usually happens after copying and pasting cells that already had conditional formatting. Excel often duplicates the rule instead of extending it cleanly. Another red flag is rules that apply to whole columns like AA or large blocks like A1TZ1048576. That's basically telling Excel to evaluate a million rows. As you review, write down the worst offenders, the biggest ranges, the most duplicated rules, and any rules using complex formulas. Next step. The single highest impact fix is shrinking the applies to range to match real data. If your table is 5,000 rows, don't apply rules to 100,000 rows just in case. That just in case is what makes files crawl. A good approach is to base your formatting on a structured Excel table. When you format a table column, Excel expands the rule as the table grows, without formatting the entire sheet. If you can't use a table, set a reasonable maximum row count that matches your process, like 10,000 rows, and revisit it later if needed. Another tip is to avoid applying rules to full columns. Full column formatting is convenient, but it's a performance tax you pay on every recalculation. After you shrink the ranges, test performance again. Many workbooks speed up dramatically with this one change, even before you rewrite any formulas. Next step. Next, deal with duplicated rules, because they're silent performance killers. When rules are duplicated, Excel may evaluate the same logic multiple times across overlapping ranges. In the Rules Manager, sort through rules that look identical. If two rules have the same condition and the same format, you usually want one rule with one clean applies to range. A practical method is to pick the best version of the rule, then expand its applies to cover the full intended area. After that, delete the duplicates one by one. Be careful with priority order because deleting a rule can change which formatting wins when multiple rules apply. If your sheet uses stop if true, keep an eye on it because it changes evaluation behavior. Once you consolidate, you'll often go from hundreds of rules down to a handful. That's not just cleaner. It's faster, easier to maintain, and less likely to break when someone pastes new data. Next step. Now let's talk about the formulas inside conditional formatting, because not all formulas are equal. Some functions force Excel to recalculate more often, and that hurts. Volatile functions are the main offenders, things like offset, indirect, today, now, and rand. They can be valid, but they make Excel recheck formatting more frequently. Another issue is heavy lookups inside formatting rules, like large VLOOKUPs or match calls repeated across thousands of cells. A better pattern is to compute the result once in a helper column, then base conditional formatting on that helper value. It feels less elegant, but it's usually much faster and easier to debug. Also, try to use simple relative references where possible. Complex nested if statements inside conditional formatting can work, but they're harder for humans and heavier for Excel. Your goal is to move complexity out of formatting rules and into normal worksheet logic. Next step. Some conditional formatting types are simply more expensive than others. Color scales, icon sets, and data bars can be great, but they require Excel to evaluate a range as a whole, not just cell by cell. That can add noticeable lag on big data sets. If you need the visual, consider limiting those formats to a smaller summary area instead of the entire raw data block. Another strategy is to replace icon sets with a simpler three-state format, like changing font color based on thresholds. Also, watch out for formatting that changes borders across huge ranges. Borders can increase file size and make scrolling feel sluggish. If your workbook is used for analysis, not presentation, you can often keep the meaning while simplifying the visuals. The question to ask is, does this formatting help decisions, or is it just decoration? Keeping only decision-relevant formatting is one of the easiest ways to get speed back without losing clarity. Next step. A big cause of mystery slowness is conditional formatting applied to blank cells far beyond your data. This often happens because Excel thinks the used range is huge, even if the cells look empty. Maybe someone formatted an entire column years ago, or pasted data and cleared values but not formats. The result is a sheet that carries formatting weight across tens of thousands of empty rows. One fix is to clear excess formats below and to the right of your real data, then save the file to reset what Excel stores. Another fix is to rebuild the sheet's used range by deleting truly unused rows and columns at the bottom and far right, not just clearing contents. Be careful here. Only delete areas you're sure are not needed. After cleanup, reapply conditional formatting only to the real working range or to a table. This step can reduce file size and make the workbook feel responsive again. Next step. Here's a clean rebuild approach when the rules are too messy to salvage. First, make a backup copy of the workbook. Then pick one sheet and remove all conditional formatting from that sheet only. Next, rebuild the rules from scratch, but with strict design rules. Keep ranges tight, keep rule count low, and keep formulas simple. Start with the most important rule, the one that drives the key decision, like flagging exceptions or overdue items. Add the next rule only if it adds distinct meaning. If two rules are just different shades of the same idea, simplify. As you rebuild, prefer using a table so the range grows naturally. Finally, test after each rule you add. That way, if performance drops, you know exactly which rule caused it. This rebuild method takes a bit longer up front, but it prevents the workbook from slowly degrading again over time. Next step. If you're sharing the workbook with other people, you also need to design for paste behavior. Many rule explosions happen when someone pastes values and formatting together. The fix is partly technical and partly process. Technically, Keep your conditional formatting applied to a stable input area, and encourage pasting values only into that area. If you build templates, lock down formatting by protecting the sheet while leaving input cells unlocked. Another trick is to provide a dedicated paste zone that has no conditional formatting. Then use formulas to pull data into the formatted area. That way, the formatting stays controlled. Also consider using consistent table structures, because tables handle expansion better than random ranges. The goal is to stop conditional formatting from multiplying every time data is refreshed. A fast workbook is not just about fixing rules once, it's about preventing the mess from coming back next week. Next step. Sometimes the best fix is to avoid conditional formatting for certain jobs. If you're using it to label statuses, you can often use a helper column that outputs a short text like OK, check, or fail. Then apply a simple format to those labels only, not the entire dataset. If you need row highlighting, consider using a single rule based on one key cell, instead of multiple rules across many columns. If you're trying to show trends, a small summary table with conditional formatting can be more effective than formatting every raw row. Also remember that filters, sorting, and pivot tables can communicate a lot without heavy formatting. Conditional formatting is great when it's focused. It becomes a problem when it's used as a substitute for structure. When you choose structure first, clean columns, clear statuses, and summary views, you need less formatting. Next step. Let's wrap this into a practical checklist you can reuse. First, confirm the slowdown correlates with recalculation and formatted areas. Second, audit rules and find the biggest applies to ranges and duplicates. Third, shrink ranges aggressively, ideally using tables. Fourth, consolidate duplicated rules into one clean rule per logic. Fifth, simplify formulas and move heavy logic into helper columns. Sixth, limit expensive formatting types like icon sets to smaller areas. Seventh, clean up used range bloat by removing excess formats outside real data. And finally, prevent the issue from returning by controlling how data gets pasted and refreshed. If you follow that order, you'll usually get speed improvements early and then keep improving as you refine. One subscription request. If you want more Excel performance fixes like this, subscribe. And for a quick comment, which causes more pain for you, duplicated roles or oversized ranges? Subscribe to keep optimizing your workflow and get back more of your time.